Alright, so we're gonna put a new fork, or an old fork on a new bike. And the first step of it is putting...
What is it called? Apply this, what I recommend is this anti-seize. You just get it from any auto parts store. Just put a little bit inside the head tube, and this just prevents the metals from seizing together. You can be able to remove the headset a lot easier, and it also prevents it from creaking. So a lot of just regular grease will attract dirt more easily, and you get some issues with some unwanted creaking. So just try not to put too much, just a little bit. Try to get rid of the excess. It doesn't come out of your clothes very easily, so be careful. Here's the headset. It's a Cane Creek 40 headset, traditional 1 1/8 measurement. You need a special tool to put this in. This is a headset installation tool. So what you want to do is, you don't need the cap on there. Just make sure that the bearings are still installed into the headset. Just line this guy up. Get the logos arranged how you would like them, because once you press this into the frame, it's difficult to move it. So get it lined up nice and straight. Make sure you hold the bottom cup, because it slips and it'll fall. So you put this piece, the bottom piece, you lock it into place. Make sure these don't move. Just get like a normal crescent wrench to hold the bottom. You just have to be really careful. Do this very slowly, and be careful that to make sure that the cups go in nice and smooth. If they get off to an angle, you're gonna have a problem. You could mess up the headset or break the frame. Just do it very slowly. Make sure they go in nice and straight. What you want to do is just keep spinning it until you feel both of the headset cups bottom out, and get a nice firm. You don't want to torque it down. Just make sure that visually it's nice and tight. You should double check. You should be able to feel it. So then you just back this out. If you'll see, this is the actual bearing, so just be careful and make sure that stays up inside the cup. They pretty easily fall out. So if you have trouble with it staying in, you can just set it off to the side. Alright, so we're installing a RockShox Reba 100mm fork. What you have to do first is put on what's called a crown race. This should come with your headset. It's actually the bottom piece where the the fork contacts and seals with the lower bearing, sealed bearing. So just take a little bit of multi-purpose grease. You can buy the Park stuff, or you can just use like regular high bearing grease. Just put a little bit around the That's just so this the crown race goes on nice and smooth. Set that to the side for a second. race. If you need this other tool, it's called a crown race setter. And just like any sort of hammer, do recommend putting down like a piece of cardboard or something to protect the bottom of the fork. So just support it, give it a couple nice whacks of the hammer. Shouldn't be too difficult, and then you'll see that the crown race is set onto the fork. Wait.
Alright.
So we're almost done. The last, so what we need as well is to have a stem handy. And here we're using a new Ritchie WCS, pretty nice stem. So the next step is to take the top cap. Just make sure that you'll see the, there's the bearing, just make sure the bearing is in there. Put your top cap. Take the lower bearing. Slide the fork through. Make sure your top cap doesn't fall off or pop out. Take your stem. You've got to loosen up the bolts. Slide your stem on. What I'll do for now is just tighten one bolt to keep the fork from falling out. Because this was a used fork, it already has, this is called a star nut, or actually I have no idea what this thing's called, but it goes down into the steered tube of the fork.
Can you show that to me again?
But it's already, one has already been installed on this fork since it was used. It came from another bike.
Okay.
So you'll have to watch another video to learn about that. So this is called a, I guess this is a top cap, and this screw actually adjusts the tension, and it determines how much compression is on the headset. What we'll do is, so we need, if you see this gap here, we need to put in the proper amount of spacers so the top cap will fit securely. Just using some carbon. So you want to make sure that you have at least 2 millimeters, like that the top spacer extends past the steer tube at least 2 millimeters. So that way you have enough, you can tighten this down properly. So what I'm going to do is loosen the bolt again, so that way this is fully open. Just going to hand tighten this. We'll go back and actually make the final adjustment once the bike is completely put together. We'll take it off the stand and make sure that it's tightened properly. But this gets it on there for now. We can move on to the next phase or step in building the frame.
What are you going to do next? Well, what are you going to do next?
Yeah, I don't know. Good question. I think the next step would be to, I could either I could install the handlebar.
Okay.
And then I could go on to installing the crankset, and then assembling the wheels.
Okay.
So I'd say those are probably the next step.
Alright, let's take a break for now.